Bible tells the story of Daniel, who worked for a king by the name of King Darius. King Darius rather liked lions. I'll just mention it, may be important later on in the story. Now Daniel was very successful in everything he did because he worshipped and followed God, and God made him successful. As a result, the king promoted him to a really high position. The only problem was that the king's other servants became jealous of Daniel, and they went out to spy on him to see if they could see anything he did that was wrong, that they could report to the king. But Daniel followed God, and he was careful to always do what was right. As a result, no matter how much they watched, they couldn't find anything to use against Daniel. The one thing they did notice, though, was that every day, 3 times a day, Daniel would kneel down by his window to pray to God. And those servants, they hatched a plan. They went to King Darius and they said, "King Darius, live forever. You're so amazing and powerful, you're almost like a god. Why don't you pass a law which says that anyone who prays to any god other than you for the next 30 days should be thrown into a den of lions?" Now, King Darius rather liked the idea of being a god, and he certainly liked lions, so he agreed and passed the law. As soon as he did, those servants rushed out to see what Daniel would do. Now, Daniel was in a pickle. If he carried on praying, he could be killed. But Daniel knew that it's always right to serve God, and that God is able to save. So even though his life was at risk, Daniel, as he did every day, knelt down to pray. As soon as he did that, the servants rushed over, grabbed Daniel, and dragged him before King Darius. And they said, "King Darius, live forever. You know how you passed a law which said that anyone who prayed to any god other than you would be thrown into a den of lions?" "Yes," said King Darius. "Well," said the servants, "we've seen Daniel praying to another god." Now when he heard this, the king was heartbroken, because Daniel was a good servant and a good friend. But he'd passed the law, and so even though it hurt him a lot, he gave the order, and Daniel was taken and thrown into the den of lions. Now the king didn't sleep very well that night. All he could think about was what Daniel must be going through. And the next morning, when he woke up, the first thing he thought of was all of those times that Daniel had stood by his side, helping him. And so the king rushed down to the den of lions and said, "Daniel, Daniel, are you there?" hoping against hope that somehow he might have survived. "Yeah, I'm here," went Daniel. But how?" said the king. "That's a pack of ferocious lions in there." "Well," said Daniel, "God sent an angel who tied up the mouths of the lions and has kept me safe all night." When the king heard that, he was amazed. He opened up the den and let Daniel out. And then he turned to the people who'd accused Daniel and tricked him and said, "Well, seems like Daniel's God is real after all. Let's see how your God gets on with protecting you." And with that, he gave the order for them to be thrown into the pack of lions. And there they were torn to pieces.